Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the invisible tech that makes our modern work lives even possible. We're going to go on a journey, starting right from the smartphone in your hand all the way up to the cloud, and we'll uncover the key technologies that let us work from pretty much anywhere. So let's just dive right in. I'm willing to bet the answer to that is a big yes for just about everyone listening. But what seems like a simple, everyday thing, well, it's really just the tip of a giant technological iceberg. Underneath, there are these powerful ideas like consumerization, grid computing, and virtualization, and we're going to break them all down, starting with the one device you use more than any other. All right, so let's start with the most personal part of this whole equation, that powerful little computer you carry around in your pocket. We're going to see how this personal gadget didn't just walk into the corporate world. It kind of kicked the door down and changed all the rules for everybody. So, what in the world is the consumerization of IT? Well, it's actually a pretty simple idea. It just means that new tech is now showing up first in our personal lives and then businesses adopt it, not the other way around, which is how it used to be. I mean, think about it. Why would you ever use some clunky, slow, company-approved software when you could just use your own Google Drive account in like 2 seconds? People started using these tools for work because, let's be honest, they were just better. They were faster and they made life a whole lot easier. So this trend started bubbling up from employees, and it forced companies to make a choice. They could either fight it, or they could create a formal policy for it. And most of them chose to embrace it, which led to what we now call a Bring Your Own Device, or BYOD policy. But as we're about to see, saying yes to this meant getting a whole bunch of new benefits and a whole bunch of new risks, too. And this table, it really lays out that trade-off perfectly. On the one hand, the benefits are fantastic. Companies save a ton of money on buying laptops and phones, and you, the employee, are way more productive on a device you already know and love. This is basically what unlocked the door for remote work. But the challenges on the other side are pretty serious. How do you keep company secrets safe on a personal phone that also has TikTok and Candy Crush? And what happens if that phone gets lost? It becomes a massive, massive headache for the IT department. Okay, so we've talked about the power of a single device. Now, let's zoom all the way out and talk about the power of thousands or even millions of devices. Imagine linking up computers from all over the planet to create one giant system, powerful enough to solve problems that no single machine could even dream of tackling. So this is the big idea behind grid computing. At its heart, it's really all about teamwork on a massive scale. You take a whole network of separate computers, they could be in different buildings, different cities, even different countries, and you link them all together. The goal is to pool all their unused processing power, to basically get them all to act like one single enormous virtual supercomputer. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Think about a huge 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. If you give it to one person, it's going to take ages. But what if you give one piece of that puzzle to 1,000 different people, all at the same time? They could solve it incredibly fast. That is exactly what grid computing does, but with complex calculations and massive amounts of data. So how does this actually work, step by step? It's a really neat cycle. It all begins with a user node. That's just a computer that has a really big task to complete. It sends a request to the control node, which is kind of like the grid's manager. The manager looks around the network for any computers that aren't busy, it breaks the big task into all those little puzzle pieces, and it hands them out. Then all those computers work on their small piece at the same time. That's what parallel processing means. Once they're done, all the results are sent back and put together. And here's the really cool part. Every computer on the grid, even the one that asked for help in the first place, contributes its own spare power back into the system. It's a true community resource. And the things we can do with this kind of computing power, they are absolutely staggering. We are not talking about simple, everyday tasks. Grid computing is the engine behind solving some of humanity's biggest challenges. Things like analyzing the entire human genome to cure diseases, creating new medicines, or modeling global weather systems to predict hurricanes. This isn't just about business, it's a powerhouse for science and innovation. All right, so we've gone from one device to many. Now we're going to flip that idea completely on its head. We're going to see how you can take one single physical computer and make it act like many different computers all at the same time. This idea, called virtualization, is really the secret sauce that makes the cloud so incredibly efficient. Welcome to the amazing world of virtualization. The best way to get your head around this is with an analogy.
Okay, imagine a powerful physical server is like a huge single-family mansion. Virtualization is like a construction crew coming in, putting up new walls, adding separate kitchens and bathrooms, and turning that one big mansion into 10 separate, fully independent apartments. As you can see here, each of these virtual apartments gets its own resources and runs its own stuff, and it is completely separate from its neighbors.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts at the bottom layer with the physical hardware. This is the actual server, the real metal box with the computer chips, the memory sticks, and the hard drives that provide all the raw power. It's the foundation for everything we're about to build on top of it.
Now, sitting right on top of that hardware is the most important part of this whole setup, the hypervisor. You can think of this as the magic software layer, or maybe like the building's landlord. Its whole job is to take all the physical resources, the processing power, the memory, and cleverly slice them up, giving a little piece of each to every one of the virtual machines it's going to create.
And that brings us to the very top layer, the virtual machines themselves, sometimes called the guest OS. You can see them here. Each one is a complete, self-contained computer made of software. It has its own operating system, its own applications, and from its point of view, it thinks it has the entire machine all to itself. It has absolutely no idea that it's just one apartment in a much bigger building.
Now, to make this crystal clear, just think about your own laptop. It probably runs one operating system, right? Maybe Windows, maybe Mac OS, but with virtualization, that very same physical laptop could be running its main Windows system while also running 2 or 3 separate versions of Linux in these virtual machines, all at the exact same time. This is unbelievably useful for software developers, for testing things out, and for running huge data centers super efficiently. Okay. So we have gone from the device in your pocket to the power of thousands of computers working together, and then all the way to making one server act like many. Now, let's tie all of these incredible ideas together and see the big picture of how our modern workplace is actually built. So really, here is the formula for today's workplace. You start with mobile platforms. You add in that trend of consumerization we talked about, and you enable it all with BYOD policies. The result? It isn't just a small improvement. It creates a completely different kind of company, one that's way more agile, more collaborative, and flexible enough to let people do their best work from literally anywhere.
But, and you knew there was a but coming, right? This amazing new world of flexibility comes with a giant catch. All of those personal phones and laptops connecting to the company network, well, that creates a huge security challenge. You simply cannot have all that freedom without also managing all that risk.
So to keep things in balance, companies need to put in several layers of security. It starts with good IT governance, which just means having clear rules. Then they use special tools like mobile device management, or MDM. This is software that lets the company create a secure little bubble for work stuff on your personal phone. It can enforce passwords and, most importantly, if your phone ever gets lost or stolen, IT can remotely wipe all the company data without ever touching your personal photos or messages. It's all about keeping things separate and safe. So we've seen how all this tech gives us the power to create a workplace that isn't tied to one building anymore. And this brings us to one last, really interesting question. If our tools have made our physical location less important, then what's the point of an office in the future? Is it going to be a place for collaboration, a center for company culture, or something totally different that we haven't even imagined yet? Well, that's the next big puzzle for all of us to figure out.